Well, the year was 1996 and it was the Summer Olympics. And if we remember, the most notable thing about that year's Olympics was when gymnast Kerri Strug had to go out for her second vault, and she had to do it with a broken ankle. And one of the neatest things about that whole thing was when her coach was off to the side saying over and over to her again and again, "You can do it." Well, you know, just like in anything in life, whether it's something that's serious or whether it's a hobby or whether it's your work, sometimes you just need somebody to come along and encourage you a little bit in what you're trying to accomplish. And that's what I want to do in this video series over the next coming weeks and months. I want to show you different things that I have made, how I've made them, what it took to make it and to bring it to the level that it is, or to keep it to a lower level that it is, and maybe even why I made those choices. But I want to start out with this chair right here next to me that I just finished 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it comes from a series that Lost Art Press put out on YouTube not long ago, even about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And they did a whole video series, a whole how-to series on how to build this chair that is behind me. They have provided a PDF for the template, the pattern for this chair. They have provided even a free PDF book on where to get the materials, what materials you should be looking for in order to make an inexpensive stick chair. However, I did upscale it a little bit, and I want to show you some of those details right now. So let's get into it. Now, if you're interested in building this chair, I have all of the links right in the description below. So make sure that you head down there in order to find those links for the template and for the book and another resource or two, whether it's the video playlist or even another book that Lost Art has provided on building stick chairs. Now, what I did is I took all of their ideas, a lot of what they had to say, and I built it in a way that I wanted to build it. It's not the best chair, it's not the worst chair, it's somewhere in the middle. There are things that I did to this chair that were absolutely a mistake. And I want to take you really from bottom to top in order to show you some of the mistakes, maybe tell you some of the things that I would do over again. But let's go ahead and come in closer and check this thing out. Now, I made this chair from ash for the seat and for the dowels and the legs. And then I used a contrasting wood with walnut in the wedges, as you can see. And I have to be honest, I have no idea. This wood that I put on top of the Armbow and this wood that I used for the comb, I have no idea what that wood is. I got it out of a big pile of walnut in the upstairs of a garage one day. I grabbed it. It was rough cut, had no idea what it was. And to me, it looks like some kind of maybe spalted walnut that has sapwood in it, or maybe it's some kind of spalted cherry with the sapwood in it. I'm not exactly sure, but I'd love to hear what your guesses are in the comments below. Now, to say the least, this chair is not perfect in any way, but this is really my first real chair that I've ever made. I've made a couple stools in the past using dominoes and things like that, but this is the first real chair that I've ever actually made. And so I didn't really expect it to be perfect. Now, starting from the top on that comb, I messed up the comb there, and that's why you can see the wedges in the comb. It's just supposed to be you drill the holes and then you put glue in the holes and then you put the dowel rod in it. You're not supposed to see it from the other side. But just like anything in woodworking, if you mess something up, the way to cover it up is to make it a feature. And so even though I messed up on the comb, I was able to make it nicer by adding all of those wedges in, which complement what's on the Armbow as well with the wedges that are there. And so you just see all of these wedges all over the pieces of this chair. And it turned out really good just because I took a mistake and was able to make it into something that looks a little bit better. Now, coming down to the Armbow, the instructions for the chair have you make it out of 3/4 inch plywood. Now, for me, anybody that knows me knows that that was just not going to happen for me. I was not going to be able to make it out of plywood. I was putting too much work into this chair to have plywood as a part of it. And so that was a personal choice that I had made. But I made a big mistake in not using the 3/4 inch plywood because I thought, well, I'll slap this extra piece on top of the Armbow, I'll drill my holes. But that ended up being a big mistake because there was too thick of a material on the Armbow and it made the angle go off, and I had a lot to fix. So no matter what you do, you need to make sure that you are following precisely. If you use this pattern, you need to follow precisely what Lost Art has in there for their dimensions. What ended up happening with the Armbow was my angle was off, and so it made my hole come much further to the end of the Armbow than it should have, which caused all kinds of chip out when I was drilling those holes for the dowels to go through it. Now, yet another mistake. I know. In hindsight, I really ought not to have used ash for the seat. Now, I love how it turned out. I love the consistency of all of this ash with that contrasting walnut and all of the rest. I think it looks fantastic, so I'm glad that I did it. However, for my first chair, it was pretty difficult to work with this ash. It was just a hard material, and what I ended up doing, I did not use a scorp or an in-shave, which would be a tool like this in order to hollow out the seat, which is the traditional way of making these kinds of chairs or Windsor chairs. I went down to Harbor Freight, and they have a shaping disc, a wood shaping disc that you can put on your grinder, whatever grinder you may have, 4.5-inch grinder, and you can go ahead and just grind away the material. So that's what I ended up doing. Now, beyond that, it took a lot in the sense that I needed to sand, I needed to scrape. I think I even took my block plane and little planes a little bit and just tried to clean things up. And so there was a bunch of sanding, there was some scraping and things of that nature. But eventually I got it to where I was happy enough with it. But if you go watch the videos from Lost Art Press, you'll find that you don't even need to hollow it out at all. So if you've never made a chair, you don't have much furniture experience, you don't have to go to the lengths that even I did in this chair, which is not the most upscale chair that you've ever seen in your life. But if you go to that Lost Art Press video series, you'll be able to see that they weren't doing anything fancy. They took a 2x12, they laminated it, and then they ended up just leaving it flat. They didn't even hollow anything out for a seat. And I think that's perfectly fine, especially if this is your first chair. You don't have much furniture building experience. This is a great project for you to do with some of these basic ideas and basic skills and basic tools. But then you come down to the legs, and these turned out really pretty well. I used some straight grain ash that I had, and even then you can tell upon close inspection that these are laminated pieces that I ended up using for these legs, but they were as straight grain as I could possibly have found. Now, if you're interested in building this chair, I have all of the links right in the description below, so make sure that you head down there in order to find those links for the template and for the book and another resource or two, whether it's the video playlist or even another book that Lost Art has provided on building stick chairs. Now, I'm so happy that I built this chair. I don't know the spot that you're in. I don't know your finances, the tools you have, the materials you have, or the time that you have. I don't know any of those things. But I do know that with basic tools, or maybe some borrowed tools, some inexpensive materials from a hardware store, and really some desire, some want to, will get you to where you can build this chair. Now, if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to comment. Again, this is not an instructional video. I just wanted to show you this that I had made, but I also wanted to point you toward the resources that are available to help you to build this thing. And I want you to remember, like we talked about at the beginning of this video, if you have the desire and you have the will, you can build this chair. But go watch those videos on Lost Art Press if you really have the desire to build this thing. It was an awesome exercise. I'm so happy that I ended up building it. And so until next time, keep working hard, keep trying harder, and you can build this thing.